Good afternoon and welcome to MCCEI's latest webinar, Service to Construction, where we are going to discuss recruitment and retention of servicemen and women into the construction industry. I'm Jim DeWeese, president of MCCEI. It should come as no surprise that military veterans' qualities align well with the demands of the construction industry. They're used to hard work, intense, structured work environments, early and long hours, and working as a team. Having veterans in our ranks will enhance project outcomes, foster a positive work culture, and as the cherry on top, companies that hire veterans will benefit from government initiatives aimed at supporting veteran employment. But it's not so simple as just saying that you want to hire a veteran and then they're just going to show up at your doorstep, resume in hand. So today we're going to hear from some veterans and some employers in the construction industry who have experience hiring veterans, and they'll share their stories and how they ended up in our industry. But first, I wanted to introduce MCCEI a little bit. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and connect a diverse population to careers in the built environment. I myself am not a veteran, but I am the daughter of a disabled Vietnam veteran who served in the Marine Corps. My father had many skilled trade jobs over the years. After Vietnam, he started off in auto body work directly out of the service. From there, he was a union insulator at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. And then after that, he owned his own landscaping business for a while, which ultimately led to his last career before retirement, where he was shop steward in the facilities maintenance department at Villanova University. So while I was never in the service, I do have much respect for the men and women who serve our country and the amazing skill set that each of you bring to the table. Thank you for your service, and thank you for agreeing to be here. So let's go around and introduce ourselves. We'll start with Jack. I'll ask you to say your name, your company, current role. If you're a veteran, what branch of the service and how long did you serve, and anything else you'd like to share with our group.
Okay, very good. Good afternoon, everybody. As Jen said, my name is Jack Lanzelotti. I am the Talent Acquisition Manager here at Carter Machinery. Carter is the authorized Caterpillar equipment dealer for Maryland, D.C., Virginia, Delaware, and a small portion of West Virginia. Been with the company for just under 2 years myself, but it's a dream come true to be here. Have long driven past this location and wanted to be a part of this team and consider myself blessed to have this opportunity. I have not served myself. However, I can tell you that Carter is definitely a V3 veteran-friendly employer. In fact, we here as our training team host a lot of military personnel on site so that they can go through diesel and heavy equipment training. So we have folks in and out on a daily basis and try to do the best to kind of showcase the Carter environment while they're here in hopes that they will consider Carter for future employment.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jack. Chris.
Hi, my name's Chris Eccleston. I'm the president of Delmarva Veteran Builders. We're a general contractor located in Salisbury, Maryland. We've been in business for about 10 years. We wanted to bring the veteran attitude to the construction workplace here on Delmarva. We operate in Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. We got about 21 folks on the team right now. We've always maintained a high veteran guard and reserve percentage of our workforce. At one point, we were as high as 65. I think now we're around 40%. So we're pro-military, pro-guard, pro-reserve. We won the Secretary of Defense Freedom Award in 2016 or 2017. And I served in the Navy from 2000 to 2006 aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt.
Thanks for your service, and congrats on the award.
Thank you.
And James.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm James Nutter. I graduated high school and got out of high school and joined the Army. Spent active a couple of years, then got out, joined the Guard. Loved it. I'm actually still in it. I got 17 years in altogether. I was looking for a place. I stumbled across the IBEW Local 26 out of DC. I love it. They treated me great. I've been there 5 years. They really do. They treat me great. The apprenticeship is accredited through the VA, so I get to use all my VA benefits. They pay me well. They actually pay me journeyman pay while I'm going through the apprenticeship, so it's worked out well. I enjoy it.
Awesome. We're going to get into those VA benefits in a little bit. Thanks, James. So for our two veterans on the call, was it hard to figure out what your transferable skills were to the civilian world when you were leaving the service? If so, we can talk about those VA services that you used, James. Chris?
I think it was. I had made the decision when I got out that I was going to go to college. So I had served for 6 years, and then I decided I was going to go to college. I did try to find a job, basically any type of job. When I got out of the military, I got told a lot. This would have been the end of 2005, early 2006. I got told a lot that I was overqualified for the jobs I was applying. So I was a Navy nuke, and I was just applying for really any type of job that I could find. And I just would not get any phone calls back or anything. So I ended up picking up trash that's how I got into the construction industry. I was picking up trash on construction sites, cleaning out houses and throwing them in the dump. So I guess I have a little bit different path because I decided I was going to go to college and then try to work in the industry while I was in college and kind of work my way up. As far as what I used for the VA, I got the Montgomery GI Bill. When I first joined, I think you had to pay $100 each month for 13 or 15 months. And then you were qualified for the Montgomery GI Bill. That later changed and became the post 9/11 GI Bill. I was able to get that to use for my master's degree. So after I had graduated college, I had been working in the industry for a while. I decided to go back and get my master's degree, and the post 9/11 GI Bill worked for that. So I hope that answers your question.
It does, absolutely. James, I think when we were chatting, you might have a little similar story.
Yeah, I used the helmets, the hard hats. It like I said earlier, the apprenticeship is accredited through the VA, so I was able to make journeyman wages as an apprentice. It was great. They paid for all my books. They paid for everything while I was going through apprenticeship. It's a good program.
And I know you mentioned that you stumbled upon IBW. I think how did you find out about the program?
It was actually a neighbor of mine. He was in it. He was a project manager, and he told me several times. He's like, "You're a hard worker." He said the structure's similar. He said it's early hours in the morning, but you get off early. He said it's similar to the military, and he's right. I mean, it is. The hours, I usually start at 5:30. I'm off by 1:30. It's great.
Awesome. All right. So if any veterans happen to be listening or paying attention, so who would they contact to find the VA services? They're the VA and who at the VA? Do we know?
I would reach out to the VA. I mean, when I was getting out, you have a class called TAPS, and it's Transition Assistance Program, and they bring counselors in from the VA, from job careers, and those kinds of things. Now, it's been close to 15, 20 years for me, but that's my memory of it. It was about a week long. They would do some interviewing skills. They would do kind of a mock career fair, and they talked to other counselors. I would encourage you to, if I was getting out today, I'd be reaching out to the people that were in my unit that got out less than a year ago, because you're still tight with them. You still have contact with them. You're still friends with them, and talk about what they did and how they did it. I know a couple of my friends that had gotten out a year before. They had gone we all went in different directions, but They met job recruiters. They had some headhunters that they already had contacts with. And depending on what you're looking to do and the rate that you have, if you're somebody in your unit was placed a year prior or 6 months prior, chances are that same recruiter or headhunter is going to have a connection to that type of industry or that cluster of industries that can be beneficial. And based on my experience as an employer, if you're ambitious and you want to work, veterans aren't going to have a hard time finding jobs in this economy.
Yeah. So, James, we're talking a little bit about, the fact that the VA is supplementing your salary and giving you your hourly pay and giving you journeyman salary while still an apprentice is a pretty amazing benefit. So besides the benefits and the pay, what has kept you in the construction industry?
I would say that it's similar, and the camaraderie's there. My shift that I'm with, the crew that I work with, we're all friends. You get tight with that group, similar to the military, and you want to work with those people. And I think that's what has kept me there.
Awesome. Chris, you see a nod and you feel the same?
Yeah. For me, what we have is you have a common bond that you start to develop, just like the military unit does. And you have clear deliverables. You're working as a team in the construction industry. You are facing constant hurdles, typically through weather events, coordination of subcontractors or whatever, at least on the general contracting side, logistic nightmares, things like that. So you have kind of all of those things happening, and you just get this sense of camaraderie, and then you get a sense of pride of you actually see tangible results. I think that was a big draw for me. I left the nuclear engineering world to come into construction because there was a tangibility. You could see there was an end product, and then you moved on, and you could be proud of something that you were a part of. And I think the military and the construction industry have all those similar characteristics.
Absolutely. You not only have pride in what you're doing, but you're making a difference in the world in both instances. That's definitely a similarity. So, Jack, at Carter, we talked about how Carter actually, you train active military, but I know you also have a veteran hiring program, and a lot of I know. Lorraine is a veteran herself. She's a head of your HR, correct? So why does Carter seek out military veterans for employment?
Great question. Honestly, why not? These are America's heroes, right? Like these are folks that are proven. They're leaders. They are resilient. They learn and grow from failure quickly. They have great cross-cultural experience. To James's point, there really are a number of similarities. The environment that they've been in, the vehicles that they are around, the type of technician work that they do, all of that just aligns very well with what we look for on this end. We also have an apprenticeship program, and it also is accredited, and we're a SkillBridge employer as well. But if we can find somebody that's been in the service, chances are they're a little more mature, they're a little more seasoned, and they work hard. They're just leaders. We feel great about having them in place. Not only are they hard workers, but they're a great example to our other employees as well.
Awesome, Jack. Not much more of a ringing endorsement than that. Chris, I know you're also a veteran and an employer. So from your perspective as an employer, what do veterans bring to the table?
I'm just going to kind of summarize the same thing Jack just said. Train not to fail, operate as a team. You have redundancy and resiliency. So when a plan or a mission doesn't work, there's plan A, B, and C behind it. And they don't take no for an answer, typically. I'm being very generalistic here, but I mean, those are all qualities. So we looked at the attitude that brings to the construction industry. Construction's, I mean, it is very technical, but we always have had the attitude, or the mindset. If you have the veteran attitude that we're talking about, train not to fail, want to work as a team, execute on deliverables, won't take no for an answer, then we can teach you the construction part, and you can fit into our culture. And the other piece to this too, that I think a lot of people miss, is our military is a volunteer organization. Okay. We don't have a draft. So you have to want to serve. Okay. And that makes somebody, in my opinion, customer service oriented right off the bat. So that's a skill set that's already ingrained in that individual that companies can take advantage of. We're all serving customers and we're all solving problems. So from an employer standpoint, you have somebody who signed up and said, I want to do this. I want to go serve other people.
So I talk to so many employers all the time that say a passion for working and the construction industry is something that they look for above any skill that somebody's bringing to it. And you're right. I mean, if you've got somebody who's willing to literally put their life on the line for their job, there's not much more passionate of an individual out there that you could find. So it definitely makes sense that the construction industry should be leaning heavily on veteran populations when we're looking to recruit. So similarly, are there any special considerations that somebody should be keeping in mind when somebody's fresh out of the service, as opposed to just coming on from a civilian job?
I can jump in here. I think one thing for me, speaking personally, and what I've seen in our industry, when you're coming out of the military, you have a very, very tight-knit group. So your support network is the people you're serving with. And that, I think, is probably the biggest struggle that most people getting out of the military have, is that sense or that feeling of loss of that support group. And so if an employer can recognize that, not only from the employee standpoint, but their family, and try to involve them and build community pretty quickly, I think that would help the employer and the employee.
So you're talking about maybe an employee resource group specifically for veterans, or even just a new hire type of onboarding system in place with the veteran in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, that seems like a support service that would help any new employee. And I say that all the time. If you do special consideration for any, whether it be a woman or minority or a veteran, if you're creating programs to help them, it usually ends up helping your entire population, not just the individuals. That's pretty cool. So then, similarly to our veterans, are there anything that your employers could do or maybe did do that helped your transition into civilian life easier?
You want to go ahead, James? Go for it.
I would say that my foreman explained a structure that kind of laid it out sort of like a chain of command. That really helped me, because that was something that I wasn't really sure of. But as far as that goes, that helped a lot.
I would say the biggest thing an employer can do is give the shot. Recognize the character and the we talk about it at our company a lot: character, competency, and capability. If you have those three characteristics there, give them the shot. They'll surprise you. So I think that's probably the biggest role from an employer. You get even if you get I get a veteran resume across my table, I'm typically calling that person just to have the phone conversation and interview, because I know the mindset and I know the character.
Jack, did you have something to weigh in with?
I did. On the employer end, I think it's important for our managers to really recognize these folks are more than the sum of their experiences. I think it's easy to look at the resume of someone who's been in that environment and not recognize titles or not recognize specific environments that align. But instead of looking at roles, actually look at the values and the contributions that these folks made, the difference that they made every day in the environments that they were in, and then think about how that does transfer and apply to our environment. I think learn about the culture, the values, and the language that they're used to, and obviously incorporate that as much as you can. And then Chris spoke about family. I think another takeaway is just don't forget about military spouses. That's another great source of potential candidates for us as well.
Absolutely. And there is actually a decent amount of federal money out there to support the hiring of military spouses. Actually, my MCCEI and a couple other organizations, we actually did just work on a women in non-traditional employment that specifically targeted military spouses. So that's really, it's great. I think that the military recognizes that in today's world, you need more than one salary to pay the bills, but also that, the spouse has served right alongside and moved and faced hardships, just like maybe not quite the same, but very similar to their spouse that served. That's smart.
I think another, just to add on, Jen, one other thing too, from an employer standpoint, if you see a resume and you're not really sure of it, and you have veterans working in your organization, have them, if HR will allow it, have them check out the resume and just kind of say, well, that means this. We do that a lot. When I see an Air Force resume come across my desk, I'll go talk to a couple of the guys that are working in the Air Force. Oh, well, that means they're doing that kind of job, or that's what that means, all that kind of stuff. So we're fortunate because we have folks in our organization, but use your resources that you have on your staff. They'll be able to talk the common language and help you understand if there are questions about it.
Awesome. And I'm sure that there are resources on the internet.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Quick Google search of what's something, but absolutely. And I know that, HR and hiring managers overwhelmed at times, but if you spend a little bit extra time on those veteran resumes to understand, the future ones won't be so hard to read, right? Awesome. So we've kind of talked a little bit about this next question, but specifically, what do you all think are the characteristics of a veteran that make them the right person for the construction industry?
I'll chime in there. To your point, we did speak about it a little bit earlier. These folks are leaders. They're proven. They make good decisions under pressure. They're resilient. They've got great cross-cultural experience. A lot of times they're self-sufficient. They don't need somebody looking over their shoulder constantly. They're trustworthy, hardworking, and they typically have advanced team building skills just because of the environments that they've been in.
Awesome. I feel like Jack has a great summary there. Any additions to that? Good.
No, you hit it all.
Awesome. All right. So my last question for you all is, as a former marketing professional, I know that when I'm going to reach out to a certain population, I have to target that population with my ads and with my recruitment and campaigns. So the same goes for recruitment. What are some recruitment best practices that you can share with employers who are wanting to hire more veterans? Are there any places, magazines, websites, anything that we should be going to?
I'll start, Chris. I feel like just first and foremost, making it known that you are an employer of veterans, right? That could be as simple as putting, say, the V3 logo on your posting, right? So that it's out there and it's recognized. on our end, again, we've got the folks that come in and are on site for training. But for us, Chris mentioned the TAP program earlier. We've got formerly Fort Lee, which is down the road from us, and being part in those transition assistance programs, making yourself available to assist with mock interviews, meeting these folks prior to them getting out, right, and going ahead and planting the seed with them, then introducing, in this case, Carter Machinery with them, forming those relationships early and often, I think, and just again showing the interest and the value that you see in it goes a very long way.
I would agree with what Jack said. I mean, I think if you make it known that you're veteran friendly and that you're interested in hiring veterans, and in our experience, most of them have found us. So, and that's kind of what we want. That's the way we've marketed ourselves. I think the career fairs, the veteran career fairs, the veteran job boards that are out there, and then being involved in the TAP program, or we do base events at Dover Air Force Base. We've tried to do some stuff down in Norfolk. HBI, Home Builders Institute, has a great program, and we've gone and helped like teach or talk about my career or my that our business and what we do and how the construction industry works, and just sit and have a conversation with, it's usually 10 or 15 folks in those classes. They rotate every 6 to 8 weeks. There's bases all across America that do that. So, I think those are all the things that I would be doing. I mean, one thing I'm learning too on something else I'm working on, podcasting. So veteran related podcasting, kind of being involved in that and understanding where that is. Same what we talked about too. I bet there's veteran spouse specific podcasting type of things that you could be on, and advertising or just promoting what you're doing on those things, those avenues.
Absolutely. And then the James, you mentioned a little bit about helmets to hard hats. I know you obviously got employed through IBEW, and I know some of the other local unions. Do specific employers beyond unions participate in that, or do you know?
Yes, it's similar. It's similar to the TAPS program. It's it's actually the same way. It's just designed at one of those job fairs. It's just a helmets to hard hats situation.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, one last piece of advice or question for each one of you. Any advice you want to give to those that are currently in the service who are thinking about their civilian life? So we can go around
I'll go first. I think so. First and foremost, check out Carter Machinery. We would love to have a conversation with you. But I think just keep your head up and be resilient. Again, Chris kind of spoke earlier too. It takes a little bit to get traction sometimes. But ultimately, folks are going to see the value that you bring to the table. So just keep kind of knocking at that door, continuing to communicate your value to employers. And, it doesn't take but one conversation for them to see everything that you bring to the table. So just be resilient and don't get discouraged in the process.
I would say if I could go back 20 years ago, I would know what I want to do. And if I didn't know what I wanted to do, I'd go and learn a trade, because it's a great backup. It's like riding a bike. Once you know how to do it, you always know how to do it. And just because you learn how to become an electrician or a plumber or a carpenter doesn't mean you have to stay a carpenter or a plumber or an electrician. You can go on and go do other things, but it's always a great backup skill that you're going to have with you for the rest of your life. And so that would be my advice to anybody getting out.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying, James is probably pretty well aware how well a union electrician job pays. It's not too much of a backup even necessary, but what you're saying, I believe what you're saying, like in that if you decide it's not what you want to do right now.
Yeah, correct.
Even if you've got it, you can take it wherever you want to go. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah, on what Chris said, that's exactly it. Learn a trade. There's so much potential out there. Not even with the union, even non-union shops. Even at Carter, I mean, being a mechanic, it's still a great trade. Pick up a trade, pick up some tools. It's easy to learn. Once you learn it, you'll have it forever.
Awesome.
And one other thing that I'll jump in on, the industry is starting to change. I think you'll find that the construction industry is more welcoming than we get credit for. People want new blood in here, where there's a big shift occurring. People are excited for new members to be coming in. It's a legacy opportunity now for the existing workforce to teach somebody a trade and share what they learn. So I think we get a bad rap, but that's not the reality if you have an open mind and you get in here.
Absolutely. We all were green at one point and didn't know what we know now. And I don't think I've ever met. I mean, I came into the industry with a marketing background and ended up running projects, and just having an openness to learn and ask questions. I never met a person that didn't want to help and make sure that I understood what was happening. So you are right with that, Chris. All right. Well, it's in summary, I guess that construction companies, you should be hiring veterans. Hire them for their leadership, their discipline, their problem-solving abilities, teamwork skills, safety focus, technical proficiency. What else we said? Adaptability, attention to detail, time management, their diversity contributions, structured training, and accountability. All of the above. So I hope everyone here, learned something today. And if you want to reach out to anybody, just reach out to me, jsproul@mccci.org. Don't miss our upcoming Workforce Development Symposium this September 13th, The Image of the Industry. We'll hear from experts on some of the hottest topics in recruitment and retention in the construction industry, from the opioid crisis to marketing trends to women in construction and youth apprenticeship. There's truly something for everyone at this symposium, so check us out on mcci.org to get your tickets today. Thank you all so much for joining me, and look forward to our next episode.